Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I am your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Phoenix Peacock herself, Sandy Reevy. It is episode 339 and January 20th. Let's get into it in the transit, starting off Tuesday, January 21st, Sun conjunct Pluto.
Yep, the meet-up, big deals.
Thursday, January 23rd, Mars retrograde, sextile Uranus retrograde.
What did you think you could do?
Same day, Mercury opposes Mars retrograde.
Mars is having to get a message.
And Mercury trine Uranus retrograde.
At least it helps to soothe maybe a new idea.
Saturday the 25th, Venus trine Mars retrograde.
Now she's helping out again.
And Sunday the 26th, Mercury sextile Neptune.
Gentle Sunday.
And Venus sextile Mercury retrograde.
It's Venus sextile Uranus retrograde. That's express love.
Then on the horizon, we have our Greece retreat and Italy retreat coming up. And in our house, Sandy and I are back to update you all on what's happened since our last update, which has been a while. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your stars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river, wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story.
Hello, Phoenix Peacock.
Oh, I know. I kind of wish I was there again because it's so cold here in Chicago, actually throughout the kind of the Midwest. Man, we had nice weather. 16.
Right.
Yeah, 16.
Got up to like high
Phoenix,
60s.
Scottsdale.
Right. And now we're back in Chicago. It's a little bit cold here. And shall we get into it in the transit?
Let's go. It's a week. It's been a big week already.
Right. So we're starting off with Tuesday, January 21st, Sun conjunct Pluto.
Yeah, this is the meetup. You know, this is when the sun meets up with Pluto every year. This is the first time in Aquarius, and it's permanent. So this is the grand conjunction. Actually, the zero Aquarius is the grand conjunction that started in December of 2020 when the two superior planets, Jupiter and Saturn, crossed that boundary and put us into an air economy. It's called the grand conjunction. And now here come some of the planets coming across that same area in the sky. And this is this is the sun making that conjunction to Pluto at 1. So this is leaders are powerful. They're working together. Let's hope so, because we have a new leader and really showing the power force that is in his control. So let's see if this can, these two sun, in our own charts is our identity. How do we work with the power, Pluto, in early degree of Aquarius being for, all new power surges, all new power. So, and in a mundane chart, this is our leaders. And we have a new leader. So, right. How can other powerful leaders work with powerful leaders? I hope they can. Let's see.
Right. And Thursday, the 23rd, Mars retrograde, sextile Uranus retrograde.
This is the second of 3 passes. Mars is retrograde in Cancer, making that sextile, and the sextile is a helping hand. And this is at 23 degrees of these of the cardinal and the fixed. So what did you think you could do? Go back to October 25th and to get any hints, because that's the first time Mars made this sextile to Uranus. So we have, this is the second of 3. We'll have 1 final, but it could be worthwhile. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you want to put into organization, still has legs, still could be worthwhile. So keep it alive. It reminds me of the sourdough that we were trying to keep alive right about that time. right?
Right.
It's something that needs a little bit of effort to see if it's worthy of prospering.
Mm-hmm.
And we could say that the sourdough did not. It was not.
I kept it for a long, long time, and then really it died because I wasn't utilizing it, which makes sense. All right, so then the second out of the third transit for January 23rd, Thursday, is Mercury opposes Mars retrograde.
Yeah, so Mercury comes along in Capricorn and is making that opposition to Mars retrograde in Cancer. This is with reception. What I mean by that is Mars, it likes and is exalted in Capricorn, where Mercury is coming from or is in that area of the sky. So Mars seems to be getting a message or is given a new direction. It could be demanding, it could be informative, but Mars needs to take a second look at what Mercury is telling him on where we are to be constructive and productive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is Mars getting that message over? Let's move on to the final transit of Thursday, the 23rd, Mercury trine Uranus retrograde.
Yeah, this is, helps to soothe, can actually help to excite. This is, Mercury, the planet of communication, trines this Uranus. Now, even though Uranus is retrograde, there's this whole day, Thursday, is just all consumed by kind of like peppering new information in and how one can take a different approach to something. So it can be enlightening, it can be progressive, it can be spontaneous, but it can be like an aha, right? An aha.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, that's possible. Boom, let's do that.
Yeah. And
So,
it does kind of seem like it might be a little like that day might feel very spontaneous or sporadic. And if there's any way for us at the end of the day to help soothe by either journaling, communicating somehow, or even having a little meditation where we can channel in for a message.
yeah, it is enlightening. It kind of wants to stimulate conversations about how to move forward. Actually it's a good day to have networking, passing the baton, passing the talking stick, so that everybody can have a word. Because that Mercury opposing Mars that we get in the middle of the day can be a little bit, it's an opposition. So we have to kind of pepper that properly, right? And understanding where other people are coming from and then moving on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So let's move on to Saturday, January 25th, Venus trine Mars retrograde.
Right. So this is, Venus is in her exaltation in Pisces. She's at 22 degrees here, and she's trining the Mars retrograde in Cancer. That's at 22 degrees as well. So, she's the feminine energy that is kind of helping promote some sort of healing or some sort of nurturing. She seems to be very prominent here this month in supporting both malefics. She made a conjunction to Saturn, which she will again. She'll be making that conjunction to Saturn in Pisces 2 more times. But she's making this trine to Mars in water. So this is that, how can the feminine be prominent? This
and even supportive, right?
Yeah, supportive.
I like that. And
even
even
helping out. She's helping out.
Right. And maybe even sharing how much, like with Mars retrograde, Mars is action, but in retrograde, it's maybe more on the passive side. It might be bringing light to rest and recovery are just as important as hustling and going and being active. So maybe she's giving some good lessons there. All right.
Especially in Pisces, she wants creativity. She wants you to paint. and do your coloring and play your ukulele and, just kind of getting into the, we're all kind of right now in a cold tundra. And so it's kind of how can we tether our creative side that's healing.
And find our art, right?
Yeah, maybe even get your cookbooks out.
So Sunday the 26th, we have 2 transits. The first is Mercury sextile Neptune.
Yeah, this is Gentle Sunday. This is Mercury, is making that optimistic and opportunistic approach to Neptune. It's, it's a going to church day. It's a get a word of encouragement day. It's, do a meditation day. Really be creative here. Play different kinds of music. It really is just a gentle Sunday.
Yes. Don't we love those? So let's move on to the second transit of Sunday, Venus sextile Uranus retrograde.
Right. This is with reception, and this is the first of 3. Venus is here at 23 degrees of Pisces. We know that Venus is scheduled to do her retrograde in Aries and then come back to Pisces at 23. So she will be making this sextile to Uranus 3 times. Now we have to keep in mind she's very affluent, shall we say here. She's in her exaltation. So she has a honor, respect, a kind of a superiority here that she just knows she owns. Very queendom-like. And that sextile to Uranus in Taurus, which she rules. So there's reception here. So she's really helping with this expression of love. Give that to those you love, even to those you like. She will be back here for the final time, April 8th. So, we talk about, Alex, the I like you, you like me. We can really kind of upgrade that to say, I love you, you love me, even if we are saying that in our own minds. That's that positive bubble. And we just spent time with, Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Sue Morter and Greg Braden. And really, by creating a positive bubble within our own aura, automatically attaches to your positive area of your aura. So start that program. And because this is 1 of 3, try that this entire time. So on Sunday, the 26th, start saying to yourself, when you're in a situation, or you're going to the grocery, or you're going to the airport, or you're with your loved ones, say it to yourself, but with meaning. I love you, you love me. I love you, you love me. We're going to up that to the word love because Venus is very important. So try that out until April 8th and see what kind of positive connections you can make. I bet you do.
Right. Yay. All right, so let's move on to On the Horizon, where, remember, we have our CWS Patreon community over on Patreon. That is Sandy and Susan. They give you the updates and monthly forecasts, both in video form and PDF form. So if you are interested in joining and sharing your insights, or them sharing their insights with you, that is a really great opportunity to hear both from Sandy, who's a regular astrologer, and Susan, who is more a financial astrologer. So let's move on. We also have our 2025 Greece retreat coming up September 15th through the 22nd in 2025. And that retreat page is up and live on the site. And the Italy retreat, remember, we do have that coming up soon, but if you wanted to get on the list early, make sure to email Sandy at intentionbeads.com. We do have some early signups, so if you are really interested in joining for Italy, make sure you email right away.
Woo-hoo!
So let's move into our house where we're going to end our episode today. We are back from many trips, and it has been a while since we've updated
I know.
recently.
Let's go.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, it was Christmas, then it was you to Mexico for vacation, me to Mexico for retreat,
Mhm.
and then we both met in Scottsdale for our Celebrate Your Life event with those people I just mentioned, which was fabulous.
Mhm.
Hi, everybody that we met there.
Yeah.
We added to our tribe, was our intention. So full steam ahead.
Right. Yeah. I think that the Mexico retreat, you didn't give too many updates on that. Do you want to share any happenings?
Yeah, we got to move into the new area that Casa Tara has been building over the last 2 years, and that going into that retreat, it's funny. We all of us, it was beautiful. We were the first people to sleep on the beds, use the bathrooms, use the shower, and the actual some of the showers that were on the lower level, which is the ground level, was about 5 steps into the ground. And the shower head came from like the second floor. So it was about a 3-story shower head. Very interesting.
Did it
With
feel more like rain?
it is like rain, and with a skylight right next to it, and if you take a shower at night, which I like to do, the moon happened to be right there, shining on my rain and my body.
Oh, that's
Very
cool.
interesting. But I will have to say it was beautiful. It was new. We really love the original rooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be moving back to the original rooms. They're just more cocoony, and I think you know that they have the mosquito nets.
Mhm.
When you walk in the room, you immediately see the ocean, or the Sea of Cortez.
Right.
I mean, we do see the Sea of Cortez, and we see the sunrises from our beds in the new spot. But I don't know. There's something about the original, right?
Yeah.
The OG.
Well, but it's always nice to test it out and see what you like and what you don't like. And there you go.
Yeah. And we did, I invited Christine Flowers to be the special guest, and we got really into the human design for everyone. Lots of papers to hand out to everybody and know their profile and their authority and their channels and their incarnation cross, and just so many pieces. And then we sat for lunch one day. We sat for channels, how one person connects another channel, and how that works. She brought books so we could look it up and take pictures of, and lots of handouts. And of course, I did and actually the women really liked the fact that, I did basics of astrology. So I did their sun, moon, ascendant, Mercury, Venus, Mars, da, 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 and they had never seen all of those or been taught all of those at the same time.
Oh, wow. So the basics of astrology was still good for everybody. That's
yeah, because we usually would do, we usually teach one planet. And this was, we taught 7 of them at one time. So very interesting. It was very well received. It was a small group, but everybody really enjoyed it. Yeah. And we'll head back there again next year. Always the first Saturday of the month of January.
All right. So let's do a quick update on the Celebrate Your Life.
Yeah, you start that. I love them.
We headed over to Scottsdale, Arizona, it was a 4-day event called Celebrate Your Life. And we've talked about this a ton on the podcast, but they bring in really inspiring authors, speakers, entrepreneurs who have a really great message to share. People like we listed before, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Sue Morter, Greg Braden, and more names. But so it was wonderful. The attendees that came, we got to chat with so many of them, and it's just really great to have those kind of energetic talks that are inspiring, and hear how people are switching around their life, or they're progressing and growing and they're excited for their next steps. Or sometimes they just need a little bit of support and encouragement that they can get there. And it's always great to see them and be able to keep the conversation going even after the event. And I know that many of the people that we did chat with will continue talking to. Mm-hmm.
I know, and hopefully meet on some upcoming retreats. I'll be working with some of them. They're working their talismans. No, it's just it's just happy to get back into Celebrate Your Life. The first big one, I should say, since the Ghibli Goo.
Yeah, since the shutdown and everything. Things are starting to creep back into normalcy, and it is really nice to be able to give hugs and speak in face to face with people. It's such a special time to be able to feel the presence of so many people who are getting inspired and are inspiring themselves.
Yeah, no, I love going out there, and we'll keep everybody posted for the next one, because it is certainly worth, with all that's going on in the world right now. There are so many changes that we need to stay in fluidity with the changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's so many people wanting to come out of the corporate and kind of doing more healing that they know they're being called toward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even Dr. Bruce Lipton was sharing his more scientifically derived ideas of how the spiritual realm works. And he spoke a lot about harmonizing vibes, like good vibes. And he broke it down into scientific terms about coherence. Mm-hmm. And we were fascinated by that, because it was a lot about the energetic waves of both matter and energy, and how when things are on the same vibe, it feels like a good vibe. But then there's a dissonance, or like a discoherence field that just kind of feels like off, or off-putting. And that he also equated to the astrological plane of these planets have their own force fields and energy fields, and they're constantly moving, just like he equated it to a pond during a rainfall, that these droplets send out these waves, and all these waves are kind of commingling and creating what's called interference. And that interference has its own signature. And that's exactly what intention beads the premise is, because the coherence of the planets is kind of encapsulated in the beads, as you could say.
It was so interesting. I don't know if you made it I don't think you made it to the evening where they did
the Q&As. I didn't know.
Yeah, and all four of them sat up on the stage, and then people got in line for Q&A, and someone asked a question, but the answer was, and he literally said, get yourself a professional astrologer. Mm-hmm. Not the kind that do sun signs in the magazines or the newspapers, but get yourself a professional astrologer to do your natal chart and see your consciousness and your unconsciousness. See that interference and what is coming down the pike for you, right? We can look at transits, how different movements of the planets are interacting with your natal movement.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, of course, I couldn't get up and clap. I was, as far as I know, because there was only 5 vendors there, and of course we're the only one that was astrologically connected.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
I was like doing my finger snaps, like, yeah, professional astrologer. So that led some people out to my booth. So that was cool.
Right. And it brings on some really interesting conversations. But yeah, I think has there been any other big occurrences since? I know we probably still have to like do some talks about the past retreats, but
No, I mean, we have a new president. That happened yesterday. That was a big thing. And we have my sister in Houston showed that there's snow on Galveston Beach.
right.
I think the Gulf of Mexico.
In Texas.
The Gulf of Mexico might be shocked that they might be changing their name. So we got snow on the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah. Yep.
So
now,
interesting.
The North Pole.
It's now called the North Pole. Yeah.
Well, okay, then that's a wrap on our episode. Thank you everybody for listening in, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your stars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story.